ticket.
What journey are you making?
Return.
You're non-stop or are you planning to get off?
Non-stop.
Non-stop, okay. That's £9.40, please.
Airline. For your safety and comfort, we request that you remain seated at all times. Thank you and enjoy the flight.
Welcome to your northbound flight on the Emirates airline. We'll soon be at a cruising altitude of 90 metres, higher than the top of Tower Bridge. On your journey, you'll be surrounded by unique views and some of London's great untold stories. Here's just a few of the sights and discoveries that await you in this fascinating area of London. Looking east away from the city, you can see an impressive feat of British engineering, the Thames Barrier. It's one of the largest movable flood barriers in the world and has been protecting London for more than 30 years.
The original design criteria was to protect against the 1 in 1,000 floods in the year 2030. So they used the data they had available and they projected that into the future and they built extra safety margins in, and it looks like we'll be okay till 2070. The barrier is composed of 10 gates, the largest of which are 3,300 tonnes, approximately a third of an Eiffel Tower's worth of metal in each one, and they rotate into position. If you're walking along the south bank, you can imagine another 3.5 metres of concrete obstructing your view. That's what the barrier protects against.
The Port of London has been a centre for trade since Roman times. By the 1800s, it was the busiest port in the world, and a series of huge enclosed docks were built, surrounded by high walls, to protect cargo from thieves and pirates. The docks stretch from Tower Bridge to City Airport, and the Museum of London Docklands is preserving the history of this crucial trading hub.
The Romans first settled on the Thames, and obviously the Vikings came after the Romans. And all throughout history, there's always been lots and lots of trade. There was loads and loads of piracy. In actual fact, there's a gibbet cage in the museum. And he wasn't executed in a gibbet cage. He was hung, and then he would have been cut down, and then he would have been put into the gibbet cage. And there was accounts of 4 to 5 bodies hanging right along the foreshore. So as the shipping were coming in, that was like a deterrent. You behave yourself, or otherwise this is going to happen to you. You can come to this area, and you can walk around, and you can see where all these things happen.
The East End docks have undergone major redevelopment in recent decades. Royal Victoria Dock is now home to Excel London, one of the largest exhibition centres in Europe. King George V Dock has become the grounds for City Airport. The Royal Albert Dock to the north of the airport is next for redevelopment.
Royal Albert Dock used to be the commercial centre for the British Empire, but now we're revitalising this whole area again. This is going to be an Asian business port. Companies from Asia will be able to set up their headquarters and trade into Europe. The city airport will allow business people to travel to and from European cities right here into Royal Albert Dock. Business leaders will be able to attend meetings in Paris and within 2 hours be back at their desks here in London. When this complex is finished, there will be 20,000 people employed in this area. And we'll be invigorating this area, we'll bring it alive again. It really is going to be very exciting.
Down below, the River Lee flows into the Thames on its northern bank, after rising near Luton more than 40 miles away. The lower River Lee Valley has a rich history of engineering innovation, with more industrial achievements for its small geographical size than anywhere else in the world.
The history of this area, of course, has been about entrepreneurs and innovators. It was a group of entrepreneurs who built the Royal Docks. The Lower Lee Valley is where Michael Faraday did his electrical experiments. And just across the way here is where Brunel built the biggest ship in the world, the Great Eastern. And this place, of course, for 150 years, drove the economy of this country.
The post-industrial revolution, the electronic technological revolution, began in the Lee Valley in 1904 by a man called Professor Ambrose Fleming, and he invented a thing called the diode valve. All electronic gizmos we have today can be traced back to this device. The first jet airliner, the Comet, was built at Hatfield here in the Lee Valley. Thornley and I Ferguson invented the first ever colour television. We had the Royal Small Arms factory at Enfield. The Lee Enfield rifle was produced there. It wasn't Burton-on-Trent that made India Pale Ale. India Pale Ale was invented in London's Lee Valley by George Hodgson. So we've got a lot to thank the Lee Valley for.
Next to the Emirates Airline Terminal is the Crystal, a building owned and operated by Siemens that was designed to be one of the greenest in the world. The Crystal showcases sustainable development and contains the world's largest permanent exhibition of its kind.
We are in one of the most sustainable buildings in the world. It demonstrates innovative technologies to do with generating energy by solar and ground source heat pumps. Even the water of the toilets is being recycled. This exhibition showcases existing technologies and innovation, and also it stimulates discovery. It tries to make people imagine how their city might look by the middle of this century.
Thank you for flying the Emirates Next to the Exhibition Centre, Crystal, Royal Victoria Docks, and the DLR. Oyster, return, and single ticket holders, please alight here and exit to the left.
J'ai trop peur.
C'est quoi ça? Pourquoi t'es monté alors? Hein?
Je sais pas, mais il y a du vent là, ça me fait peur. Help.
Tu tiens? Hein?
Non, mais il y a quelqu'un là, il fait que se lever et marcher dans le truc alors qu'on doit rester assis. Il fait bouger la cabine là.
Ça va s'arrêter dans combien de temps?
C'est bon, je crois qu'on est arrivé là.
Ah ben, c'est bon alors.
Oh, j'ai pas du tout kiffé, c'est trop nul.
Tu le reprends encore?
Non, jamais.
Ah non, non, je t'arrête, c'est bon. Elle marche encore là?
On arrive là-bas là.
Hein?
Oh là là.
C'est quoi la traversée là?
Ouais, c'est la rivière. Oh là là.
Comment t'as appris ça?
Je sais pas. Je sais pas pourquoi je le fais.
Ben voilà. Si t'as pas peur, hein. Si tu l'as pris, ça veut dire que t'as pas peur.
Oh là là.
Ça devant?
Voilà, là on arrive là.
Il y en a qui fait pas encore.
Ah, mais c'est bon, on arrive. Oh là là, c'est bon, c'est fini. Dix minutes, je crois. Voilà. Hein? Ah, oh. Allez, moi je sors. Oh, c'est
Return. Return. Thank you.
capacity remains seated at all times. Thank you and enjoy the flight.
Welcome to your southbound flight on the Emirates airline. We'll soon be at a cruising altitude of 90 metres, higher than the top of Tower Bridge. The Emirates airline links the Royal Docks with the Greenwich Peninsula, and this flight will help you to discover a fascinating corner of one of the most exciting cities in the world. Just a few miles to the northwest is the London 2012 Olympic Park. The Games were an enormous success, watched by more than 3 billion people globally. And huge efforts have gone into making sure the Games leave a powerful legacy for future generations.
Competing at the London Olympics 2012 was one of the best experiences in my life. If I could go back and do it again, I would do it 1,000 times over. As soon as I stepped in there, the roar was just electrifying. And the noise got louder and louder, just all the hairs in my body just lifted up. I think my dad's shed a little bit of tear, but he doesn't like to do it. Support the British athletes involved, support every athlete involved, it was just hopefully I can share this and we inspire future athletes coming through.
The Olympic Park is a catalyst for the regeneration of large parts of East London. It continues from the Olympic legacy. There are opportunities for people to take part in skills and training programmes. It's a fantastic green space and a great place to just come and explore.
That's when men were made of iron and boats were made of wood.
Traditional tugs have now been joined by a fleet of fast catamarans. Thames clippers carry thousands of passengers every day.
The boats go at 30 knots, so approximately 40 miles an hour, so probably one of the fastest modes of transport in London. The river bus service runs every 20 minutes to North Greenwich Pier, which is just a 5-minute walk from the Emirates airline. Now coming into Greenwich, you should probably see the Royal Maritime Museum. It's a fantastic location and it's just an 8-minute trip from North Greenwich. I think the river's got a key role to play in the regeneration of East London. We very much see the Thames as a tube line in the future.
Cutting through the Greenwich Peninsula, the Greenwich Meridian line represents 0 degrees of longitude. It divides the eastern and western hemispheres of the Earth and serves as the reference point for the world's clocks. It's also the inspiration for a new world-class sculpture trail, the Line, stretching more than 3 miles from the O2 to the Olympic Park.
The Line is a project that will be bringing contemporary art into the Greenwich Peninsula and the Royal Docks. There are 2 works that have been on the Greenwich Peninsula that were commissioned for the millennium. There's Richard Wilson's A Slice of Reality, which is a cross-section through a ship. And then there's Anthony Gormley's Quantum Cloud. It's made of thousands of steel rods, and you can see this elusive figure hidden within this cloud. And if people are wanting to continue the walk, there'll be work along the River Lee and the canals, which is another extraordinary walk, an undiscovered gem.
Thank you for flying the Emirates airline. Exit here for the Emirates aviation experience, the Thames Clipper, the O2 and transport links. Oyster, return and single ticket holders, please alight here and exit to the left.
welcome.
Try out.
Oh, thank you. You too, thank you.